Welcome to That Time When. Matt Miller with you in Studio 4, where we take you back through the archive of Trekzone. Today we're flashing back to that time when Doug Drexler beamed in, one of his many visits to the show. On this one, we were dissecting how in the world they managed to produce 26 episodes a season all over the 90s of Star Trek. Joining me today is a guest that I haven't spoken to in a couple of years, and that's my fault. So let's bring him in now, Doug Drexler on Skype. Thanks so much for your time today, man.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. I think I was blacklisted for a while there.
Larry Nemechek took your spot. He kept coming back every year.
There you go.
But you're back, and the last couple of times that we've spoken, we've been very generic and an overview of your time in the golden years of Trek, which is what I like to call them in the 90s.
They are.
Let's get specific. So, creating an alien a week. What was that like?
Well, I mean, you know, I was part of the Northeast makeup clique. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dick Smith. Dick Smith is like, check him out, Google it. He's like one of the greatest.
There's an Australian Dick Smith, but I don't think he's the one you're talking about.
Oh, I don't know. Well, check this guy out. He did The Exorcist and Little Big Man and Amadeus, and he's one of the greatest character makeup artists of all time, and he was from the Northeast. I'm from New York, and I ended up hooking up with Dick Smith, and that's what got me started. And when I came out to L.A., it was for Dick Tracy. And it was like second season, Next Generation. And I was going nuts the whole whenever I got a chance, I'd run over to see Mike Westmore, you know, and visit the sets and stuff like that. But as soon as we were done with Dick Tracy, basically, I went over to see Mike Westmore, and I literally begged him. I mean, really, to work on Star Trek. I mean, that was it for me. And I never thought in a million years that the show would come back. It seemed so impossible, much less with me living on the East Coast. But so Mike invited me to come work, and I was a lot of time in the lab because I knew lab work. I knew how to make molds and run foam latex and stuff like that. But also I got to put makeups on too, which was really great, you know. And there were days where it was just, well, every day really was a big makeup party, you know. You got to make up Klingons, but the thing is that Mike Westmore is such a doll. He is so much fun and so inspirational and so up all the time. There's never any tension or anger with him. I've never experienced it. So it was always just a ton of fun. And you knew you were working on Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek. I mean, that's part of the thrill is having come onto the show while Gene was still there. I mean, I wasn't in meetings with Gene Roddenberry, but I used to see him on stage and we chatted. That was the biggest thrill of all, to know that this was Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek. And I always thought that Rick Berman did a pretty good job. They mostly lashed the wheel to keep it on course that Gene had set. But you know, it's funny. The makeup lab was this little ramshackled shack that was on the stage behind stage 8 and 9. It wasn't even Star Trek stage. They rented a corner of it. So we had a lab in there where we were laughing and singing songs, and we used to get out of control. Some funny stuff. But the thing is that there would be another movie on the stage shooting. Like I remember, I think it was Wayne's World was shooting. And we were making so much noise, we were disrupting Wayne's World. And I didn't know what the hell Wayne's World was. They finally brought in a wigwag light on a stand and put it in the makeup lab so it would go off and let us know to shut up. The thing about being a makeup artist, and that's one of the things I do miss about being a makeup artist, is that you coexist with the cast. You're living with the cast, day in, day out, in the makeup room, on stage, wiping their nose if it's running. The top of your head is shiny. can I get you anything? You know, and so I've described it in the past as being, it's like Stockholm syndrome. You ever hear of Stockholm syndrome? It's
Yes.
like you're being held captive. Especially when you're doing prosthetic makeup, no one wants to go through that. It's only a crazy person who actually wants to go through having makeup put on. You got to get there hours before anyone else. We're going to wash you off with alcohol at 4 a.m, ice cold, to clean you up. Then we're going to use sticky, horrible glue that doesn't come off. It's like, if I don't take it off, you're not getting it off. It's not going to come off. It's made to stay on for 20 hours, you know? So I've got you a prisoner like that. I'm going to chase you around all day. Make sure you're not eating spaghetti with the rubber lips, you know, which will make them all when we did Dick Tracy, and of course on Star Trek too, but we had characters that had rubber lips. You know, Al Pacino had rubber lips. And we used to have, we called them MPs, makeup police. We would have PAs that would follow the actors around to make sure. They'd come back and say, Al's eating a bowl of spaghetti. And we'd have to go over it. Because after lunch, the oil is the one thing that will undo that glue. The lips are coming off. And, you know, you're trying to fix makeup, so you're pulling out pieces of spaghetti, you know? It's kind of disgusting. But so actors will come in. Sometimes they're really into it. Other times they kind of resist or are offended that you're going to control their lives. They don't like that. Some of them don't. So what I found to be really interesting is that some of them would really hate you at first. I mean, I had this experience on Star Trek too. I mean, I had actors who used to, you know, throw things around and go crazy, you know, but it's a very difficult job, really, when you think of how many hours you have to put into it. You got to memorize all it, and some people don't cope with that well. And so you have to be able to deal with that. You're kind of you have to play psychiatrist sometimes. And when someone goes to the bar and they tell the bartender their troubles, someone goes to the barber shop. You go to the barber shop and the barber hears all that. He goes, oh, I understand. It's the same kind of thing.
Yep.
But anyway, they hate you in the beginning. And then after a while, just like Stockholm Syndrome, they start to fall in love with their captors. And you become their mommy who looks after them, and you're the only one who really cares. You rub their shoulders. I do miss that.
I always love chatting to Doug. It is a great thrill. His enthusiasm, his energy is infectious, and it's so much fun. Hopefully, we can chat with him again soon. He's currently working on the Orville, so maybe there might be some things to be learnt there a little bit later as season 3 gets closer. Well, if you want to catch this 2-part interview in full, click the link in the top of the YouTube video, or if you're listening to me on a podcast, jump onto Trekzone.org, scroll down to the That Time When section, and click on Doug Drexler with production schedules for now, though. And as always, I'm Matt Miller in Studio 4.
Keep up to date with Twitter. Catch new podcasts daily on YouTube. Plus, we're beaming to your favorite podcast app 5 days a week. Just search for Trekzone and subscribe.